welcome to our program, our school-age art program on stained glass window art. We are going to do this in the style of Henri Matisse. He was a famous artist that lived a long time ago, and so to tell you a little bit more about him, I have a book that I'm going to read you. This is called Henri's Scissors by Jeanette Winter, and I am reading it with permission from Simon & Schuster. They are the publishers of this book. Can you see? In a small weaving town in France, a young boy named Henri Emile Benoit Matisse watched his mother paint china. He wanted to paint too. He drew pictures in the sand, and he drew pictures in his school books. Let's hope they were his notebooks. When Henri was a young man, he drew pictures in his law books and on contracts and deeds and wills. One time, Henri was sick in bed with appendicitis one winter. His mother gave him a box of paints, and he painted until he was well. He kept on painting and forgot about law and left his small town to be an artist in Paris. Henri painted pictures day after day and year after year. He was happy, and his paintings made people happy. But when Matisse was an old man, he was ill again. So ill that he couldn't paint, so ill that he couldn't sit up, and so ill that he could only lie in bed and sleep. His paintings floated by in his dreams. Matisse finally opened his eyes, and they were filled with sadness. Now he must remain in bed or use a wheelchair. Would he ever have the energy to paint again? When Matisse was strong enough to travel, he went to the seaside. The sea air might help him get well. And before long, he sat up, and a little later, he drew. See, he's feeling better, and he's drawing. Then, one day, Matisse picked up a pair of scissors and cut shapes from painted paper. He was drawing with scissors, and he said, "A pair of scissors is a wonderful instrument." Matisse cut paper all day. He said, "My pleasure in cutting things out grows even greater. Why didn't I think of this earlier?" His assistants painted paper for him all day. He said, "It seems to me that I am in a second life." Paper cutouts covered his walls. Look at all those different shapes that he cut out. One evening, Matisse lay in bed and drew the faces of his grandchildren on the ceiling with a piece of chalk tied to a long pole. And as he fell asleep, they looked down on him and saw his dreams. They saw the shapes that surrounded him in sleep. As time went on, Matisse cut bigger and bigger shapes. They filled his seaside room with color. He said, "You see, I am often obliged to remain often in bed. So I have made a little garden all around me where I can walk. There are leaves, fruits, a bird, all those different shapes around him in his room." I am deeply and contentedly happy. So now that you know a little bit about Matisse, I can also let you know he painted, he cut paper, he made art, and he also did some stained glass, some windows, and I'll show you some pictures. These were Matisse also created the design for stained glass windows at a church in France. These windows use just 3 colors: a yellow for the sun, an intense green for vegetation and cactus forms, and a vivid blue to remind him of the sea. And he used simple, big shapes. And now you can do some stained glass creating too. What shapes do you think that you'll use? And what colors do you think you'll use? In your bag, you should have a few things. You should have some different colors of tissue paper, and you could use all of the different colors that are here, or you could choose, like Matisse did, just 3 colors, maybe 4 colors. You should also have like a shiny piece of paper, a shiny piece of acrylic with paper backing. You can leave that paper backing on right now because it's a little bit easier to do the stained glass with the white behind it. And you should also have a little pot of glue and a brush. And this is what we're going to start with. You'll also need a pair of safety scissors or scissors at home. And then when we're all done, I will show you what we do with the frame and the little glue things to put it on your window. Okay? So gather up all your things, get your scissors, and then I'm going to turn the camera down so that you can see what I'm working on. And we'll go step by step so that you can create your own beautiful stained glass window art. Okay. So getting ready to make your stained glass window art, you might want to put down some old newspaper. Here I have a piece of cardboard just to protect the table because we are going to be doing some glue in case you get off of your artwork onto the table. We want to protect whatever surface you're working on. So some scrap paper or a newspaper or an old piece of cardboard or something like that would work. Then you have a bunch of different strips of tissue paper. So select kind of what colors you might want to use. I have some different colors here. They might be different than the colors that you have in your bag, but think about what it is that you would like to make and then pick your colors. And then we're going to think about what kind of shapes we'd like. Do you want to make it be a bunch of squares, rectangles, circles, or maybe some squiggly lines like Matisse had? I think I'm going to go with sort of curves because I want it to be sort of a sunny thing. And you could cut them just one by one, but I'd like some of the same shapes out of each of these different colors of paper. So I'm going to cut them out all together. And maybe I want some sort of half moonish shapes. That way I have the same shape in this yellow and in this darker, orangey yellow, and in this orange. You could even fold your paper back and forth a few times so that it's a couple of layers thick. And then do the same cuts, and now you will have a bunch of shapes, bunch of pieces that are all the same shape. So you keep going like that. These are my scraps, I'll get rid of them later. Keep going like that, picking some different colors maybe. Folding them a few times. And then cutting. Making a little bit curvy shapes. And then maybe I will cut some, maybe this is the sun in the sky, and then I'm gonna have some water down below. I'm gonna find my blue colors. Blues, what do you think? Maybe green in the water too? Should I put green in the water? This. You could also cut zigzags. So now I have some zigzag shapes. That could be water shapes. Maybe they're too long, I'll cut them in half. Those are kind of interesting. I'll do some more. I still have this piece. So I'm just kind of following the other straight line that I made and cutting it into a zigzag shape. But you could also just do simple squares. Cut a whole bunch of different squares, and then we will glue them down. So I have a bunch of different shapes now and a bunch of different colors. I think I have enough to make a project. So then after you get all your shapes, you can put them off to the side so that you have an area to pick from so that you're all ready. I'm gonna sort of group them by shape and color maybe, so that when I want a certain color or shape, I'll have it all together. Try and be a little bit organized, because this way when you use your glue, you don't have to worry about the glue drying out so fast and not having a piece ready in time. Okay. So I still have the paper backing, but I have the shiny side up that we're going to glue on. I have a piece of scrap paper behind just to, and you could also decide, put your shiny seed piece up, and now you can try out your design by placing the tissue paper on here and kind of seeing what you would like your design to be. And do this without any glue. That way you could decide if maybe you need to move something. This one slid all the way down. I think I'm going to make this like a sun. And then put pieces coming out from it, like sun rays coming out. Looks a little different. And don't worry if your pieces kind of stick out from the side. We're going to glue them all down, and then we will cut that piece off later. So don't worry about making it an exact cut right now. We will take care of that later. I think this one is going to come up here. And the same for your other pieces. Decide where they're going to go. Take some time, and because you can, this way you can change it. You can change them when they're here without any glue. It's harder, right? It would be a little bit more difficult to move them around if they were glued down. So once you have an idea, you can move them off to the side so that you kind of remember where you want them. I'm going to start with the sun in mind. Got my little glue. Get your glue and your brush. And you're going to put a little bit of glue on your brush and then brush it all across the area where you want to put your first pieces down. You might just want to start at the top and glue all the way across the top and then put your pieces down across the top. I'm going to start right here. So I put some glue, and then I'm going to start sticking my pieces. And letting them overlap a little bit maybe. And after you have those pieces down, you're going to add another. Just see how I only have a tiny bit on my brush. Just going to add a little bit of glue brushed on top of them. So there's glue underneath your tissue paper, and then there is a very thin layer of glue on top of your tissue paper. Uh-oh. Okay, we fix that. If that happens to yours, if it folds over because the glue brush picks it up, just try and fold it back down. You can see a couple of mine have a little wrinkles in them. That's okay. Now I'm adding a little bit more glue to other parts of my window so that I can put down some more pieces of tissue paper. So I have glue over this whole top. Oh, you could definitely see that. And then I will put some pieces down, and I will keep going. Making my stained glass window art, just like Matisse did with his cuts of paper. We can do with our cuts of paper. Should I put this one here? Gets close to that one. I think that's okay. You could let your pieces touch, or you could leave a little white space in between. This is your work of art, so it can be whatever you would like it to be. And you just stick the pieces down in a way that you think looks nice. You can see I'm letting them go off the edge of the paper here, and that's okay too. Yeah, I think this light yellow, I think the very edge maybe. A lot of that one will get cut off, but that's okay. So you put them down, and then again you take your glue and you brush on top so that there is glue on the bottom and a nice little thin layer of glue on top. And this glue will dry clear, so you don't have to worry about it looking on there. So you won't see it at all, but just a thin layer. I think I need a circle for in the middle here, so I'm going to cut a circle of the brightest yellow. Could cut a completely round circle, or I could fold the paper in half and then cut half of a circle shape, and then when I open it up it's like a whole circle. There. And I'll put a little bit of glue on top. And so you just keep working like that on your painting. I'm ready to get to the next section of mine with the other colors. So I'm gonna kind of go straight across with the glue on the clear acrylic. Make a thin layer of glue. See, I didn't go all the way to the bottom because it'll start to dry before I get the paper down. And then I can start putting my zigzag for my water. Maybe I don't want this to overlap. I'll use my scissors and cut that. It is a little tricky. Sometimes they want to go a different way. Sometimes, there, that's that. So you can see, you can just like keep continuing. Gluing down. Your shapes. And then getting a little bit of your glue and carefully spreading it on top. And then later when it's dry, you will hang it in your window and the sunlight will come through and it will look beautiful. Beautiful. A little more glue down and some more shapes down. And I hope you'll share what you've done at home. You can have a grown-up take a picture of it and post it on your social media, on your parents' social media, with the hashtag @MCPL@home. Then I can see what beautiful stained glass art you have created. That would be very nice. I hope you're all making beautiful things. I know you are. Everybody is so creative. I'm running out of colors. All right, the bottom of this water is going to be, I'll have some little pieces. I'm just going to put these little pieces in. Zigzaggy at the bottom. And the last little bit of glue on top. And just like a stained glass window by the famous artist Henri Matisse, we have our own beautiful stained glass windows. So now you might want to let yours dry a little bit, but I am going to show you how we can trim this off and then put the mat on so that you can hang it in your window. So I'm going to very carefully peel this off. And you can see my stained glass window. This one's stuck. You can wait for yours to dry. After your glue is all dry, it makes the cutting of the paper on the side much easier, and you won't end up with glue in your scissors. So you can stop this video and then play it back later when yours is dry if you want to watch along. Pieces up top here are almost dry already. It's the bottom of mine that is still quite wet. Okay, so you have your stained glass window piece and it's dry. Please wait for it to dry. You also have this frame which you can take out of the package. So here is your frame. You can put it over top of your stained glass window piece and then carefully flip it over. I'm going to readjust this. It's easier to see from the back, I think. Decide where you want it. You can kind of see, right? This is a good way of doing it. You can see right through your stained glass what's going to show on the other side of the frame. So you can move it around a little bit if you want the top to show more or the bottom to show more. And then use, I don't have any here right now, but a little piece of Scotch tape will hold it on. So put your Scotch tape on, or a little piece of masking tape on the back. No one will see it. And then you have your beautiful stained glass window art. Also in your bag, you'll see these little strips. This can help hold it up onto your window. So if you don't know how to use these, you just peel off this little backing. And you really only need it at the top. So whatever you think is the top, place your strip and push it down. And then they are Velcro, so put the other one together and push them on like that. And then you can peel this piece off. Peel that off and stick it to your window so that you can see your beautiful stained glass window art. So thanks for joining me today with our Take and Make program, Stained Glass Window Art, in the style of the famous artist Henri Matisse. This is what mine looks like, and I hope that you enjoy yours and hang yours up in the window and share your beautiful art with everyone. Thanks. Be well.